Sweet. I'll address it. I think it'll be good.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special edition of the Mitch and Alex Show. We're at episode 5 now.
It's a nighttime edition.
It is. He's Mitch. I'm Alex, and our special guest for tonight, Johnny Starr. Welcome to the Mitch and Alex Show, Johnny Starr.
What an honour! What a privilege to be here live at All Star HQ.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. It's been an interesting week for Australian wrestling. First off, this is the Mitch and Alex Show, sponsored by Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance, Aimee's Crystal Cleaning Services, and Raptastic Graphics. The guys at all of those companies are great people.
Guys and girls.
Yep. Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance for all your glass needs. They do doors, doggy doors, windows, and general property maintenance needs. Aimee's Crystal Cleaning Services. They offer general cleaning services and also post-renovation cleaning, which is, I imagine, a huge job. And Raptastic Graphics for all your car wrapping needs, which people need more often than you think.
You know what? I know that the Raptastic people do a phenomenal job. I just recently got the car wrapped last week. I mentioned last week that we've used all of our sponsors before. And Raptastic, they came around yesterday. They did a phenomenal job. So,
I would like to start this show off. Last weekend, we lost a very loved member of the Australian wrestling scene in Salem. I was honoured enough to watch him work a few shows for AWE. He was a great wrestler. I didn't know him personally, but these two did. Would you guys like to touch on your time with Salem?
Yeah. So I mentioned on my own personal Facebook page that I had the honor of getting to work with Salem for about a year as a referee. I was the referee for the majority of his bouts as the UWA champion. And just a really good guy. I was new to the business. He always treated me really well and with respect, which wasn't common. It's not common that older wrestlers treated you well back then. But he was always a good guy, always happy to give advice. He's one of those people that nobody ever had a bad thing to say about. I never heard anyone say, "Oh, Salem's a dick," you know. There's always that positive mindset and attitude towards him. In terms of stories and stuff, I didn't know him that well. I remember him having a bunch of banger matches as the UWA champion, but just a good guy. That's, if someone asked me to describe him, a good guy, good-hearted dude, no ego, and he always maintained kayfabe to the core. That unlocked one of my memories yesterday when I saw people saying that. I'm like, yeah, he always did keep kayfabe. So that's my memories of him.
Johnny Starr?
Yeah, so I worked with him when I came into UWA early on. I didn't have a lot of single stuff to do with him. He was in a tag at the time with a guy named Devlin. And as I told you guys, like, looking back now, at the time from a wrestling point of view, they had such an outsider's view in terms of Nash and Hall. They were big guys. They could work. And it wasn't really – it was seen back then, but it wasn't seen often that you'd have guys that were that size that could work and looked like wrestlers. These two looked like wrestlers. They were really passionate about their product, but on a good level. And backstage, I'll just back up what Mitch said. There was never a bad word said about him. He was always easy to talk to. He was almost like the town, like a little, not a goofball, but like he was always trying to have fun. And he'd laugh and giggle. And
yeah, I do remember him being a funny guy.
Yeah, just easy to talk to. And like he'd listen to you. Like I remember when I first started there, I was so nervous and so anxious about things, but he just made it easy. And in an industry where sometimes you can just feel so, I don't know if alone's the word, but very, very anxious and very nervous. He just made everything so calm and easy. So it's a terrible loss. Not even from just a wrestling point of view. His partner, I saw the post she made. I can't imagine how she feels right now. He's so young. I don't know if they had kids or anything.
I don't know.
If they
he
did,
was a very private guy, so
makes it more heartbreaking.
At 46 years old, like that's insane.
Was he 46?
He was. Someone told me he was around that age. Yeah.
Wow.
Sammy put out a really nice post about it recently, which I thought was really good.
Well, Salem was the AWE champion.
He retired as the champion, I think. But yeah, our heart goes out to his family and his friends, and we hope they're all doing well.
100%.
Moving on from that, I think, so some more sad news happened in wrestling over the weekend with a show up north. There was a huge injury with Benny the Backrower, who fractured his C5 vertebrae in his neck, and is now medically retired. And that was part of the reason that Johnny Starr wanted to jump on here and touch on, I guess, that situation and everything surrounding it. So what were your thoughts on, what were your initial thoughts when seeing that had happened?
So before I go into full detail about it, I just want it to be known that I've always spoken with my heart on my sleeve. I've always been open about this industry, this business, because I'm passionate about it, and I don't change that for anyone. I don't go out there to be malicious. I don't go out there to say things to upset people, but I have my opinion. And one of my opinions is, if you are going to put a show on and have a product, you're opening yourself up to opinions. People are always going to have an opinion. There's people that have an opinion of our brand, and there's people that have opinions of those brands. So before I move on, the second thing I'll say is, so horrible, like what happened.
Horrifying what happened.
Yeah.
You hear the story about him being in the ring for 40 minutes before getting backboarded out. It's horrifying.
And I can't. And that 40 minutes would have felt like an eternity.
Yes.
A neck injury, a back injury, any form of injury is serious. But those two parts of your body are so vital to everything. And he's so lucky that it's not worse than what it is.
Well, we were speaking about it off air, and we said that it may be like the worst injury we've seen in Australian wrestling.
It's the worst one I've seen.
It's life changing.
Yeah. What I think of it, though, lends to something that I believe needs to be discussed amongst professional wrestling in New South Wales. I feel like it's a taboo subject that so many people think about and no one wants to say it. If it's me that needs to say it, then so be it. That particular situation could have been avoided. It wasn't needed. I've seen the clip, and the move itself it doesn't even look right from the get-go. I assume, and I can only assume now because the more I watch it, I'm like, I don't even know if that was the move he's going for, which even lends more to how I feel about this topic. It looks so bad from setup to go that I'm confused. I don't know if I've heard people say it's a double underhook face buster. I've heard it's a vertebraker. That's what I'm assuming. We're assuming it's a vertebraker, right?
Yep.
And that's based on how he landed. The move itself was so poorly executed that people are saying it's a freak accident. A freak accident is not a poorly executed move that could have been avoided. A freak accident is I'll give you an example in the wrestling world. If someone's on a table and they're going to take a table bump, they're going to go through a table and someone jumps off the top rope to give an elbow or a splash, and maybe they get hurt there. That's a freak accident. Or you do a suplex on someone and you put your hand down, or your ankle lands before your feet and you crack your ankle. That's a freak accident. This move was so poorly executed that it wasn't deliberate. I know he wouldn't have gone out there to hurt him, but it never had any chance of going right. And it lends to my topic that needs to be discussed. There is such all I see lately online is poorly trained or untrained people. And New South Wales, as a wrestling state, is never going to move forward while it's dominated by poorly or untrained people. It's unsafe and it's a bad look. We want people to see our product in New South Wales. They want to have eyes on our product. All I see, apart from our stuff, and there is other stuff out there that's good, more than the good stuff, is the bad online. I go through Facebook, I scroll Facebook. There's posters for different feds every day, popping up more than 7-Elevens. There's posters for different people. Who are training these people? Where are they coming from? There's no schools in New South Wales that are turning over 20 to 30 people a day. That's what it looks like, because there's more and more people showing up on these posters that I've never seen before. And that's fine. New people show up all the time, but not at this rate and not at this speed. There are people wrestling that have had 2 to 3 months experience. There are people that are practicing moves and doing moves they shouldn't do because they see it online and they see their heroes do it and they think, I can do it. They can do it, and it gets a good reaction. I want to know who trained that guy and taught him how to do that move, whatever it was. Because I can guarantee you right now that there's no way anyone taught him that move. I haven't even been taught that move, and I've been wrestling for 20 years. And there's guys out there that I know have been wrestling as long as me or longer and that are better, and they still wouldn't teach that move. What was the move? I'm going to go with vertebrae.
Well, that's what it looks like in the clip. It looks like he's hooked him up with the vertebraker. And I guess for those who don't know what a vertebraker is, I think the Hurricane used it when he was Gregory Helms, and Homicide used it. How would you describe a vertebraker?
Well, the name itself lends to the fact that if you do it, you'll break someone's vertebrae, right? The way I can only describe it is if you put someone in a backpack. So if you held a backpack and you span them upside down, and this isn't the way to get into it, I'm just giving the audience a visual. If you are wearing a backpack and you have the top of your backpack that sticks out here, and maybe there's a water bottle, so let's simulate that's the head or whatever, and you turn that upside down, and now the water bottle's facing downwards, that's their head, you sit down with that.
Yeah.
The idea is you're supposed to flatten out like that. Yeah. If anyone's seen the video.
I don't think the video is publicly available.
Yeah, well, the position from the start, it almost looks like this person's in an electric chair drop. But so for those that are untrained, so that looks like when you put someone on your shoulders, as if you're carrying someone on your shoulders and you fall backwards or you can throw them forwards. He looks like he's sitting on his shoulders, almost like you're celebrating a footy win when you pick someone up on your shoulders. So the positioning from the start is massively wrong. He had no chance. And then he just throws him or floats him over the back.
It's all in one motion as well. So if you watch, because I went back and rewatched, how Helms did it, how Homicide did it, there's usually a second or two of waiting for the positioning and then the drop. The way this guy did it, he just picked him up, did it all in one motion.
Yeah.
So there was no way that Benny the Backrower ever could have protected himself off that.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, right? You can talk about wrestling in front of people and doing these moves and popping people, and we all get inspiration from our heroes. But even those guys will tell you their safety and their health comes first. And the pros we watch on TV are light years away from what we are. Yes, we carry ourselves on a higher standard and a higher platform, but these guys are professional athletes that do it day in, day out, and are paid such good money to keep their body in shape. They can take bumps and take certain things on their body and impact more than what we can. I know I can't take half the stuff I used to be able to take or do, anymore, because I'm not training every day a week. My body isn't probably worth $2 million. It's not. That's what these guys are. Like, you look at all these athletes in other sports, like LeBron James and stuff like that. He pays $2 million to keep his body in shape at the age of 40 nearly. Yeah. And you can see it. He looks incredible for his age because he has to, because that's how he makes his money. We're not making our money like that here. And again, the amount of untrained or poorly trained, or I don't know where half these guys are getting trained or why they want to do it, but we're never going to get anywhere if the constant thing we see online is the bad. And I'm not having a go at Benny. It's horrible. It
is, yeah.
It needs to be addressed because it could have been avoided. And you can just see the signs of people that just are doing it because it's a hobby, or they're doing it because this is what they want to do. I want to make this brand the best in New South Wales, and that's why I'm here. And I believe we have the tools to do it. And I know for a fact that every single person in that locker room is trained and trained by someone. and they look the part.
Well,
Tell me who these guys are getting trained by, because I don't
for
know.
me, when it comes to booking a wrestler, one of the first things I check, and on a good wrestling resume, it'll be there as well. Trained by, and if it's someone I don't know, I don't proclaim to know everything in Aussie wrestling, but if I research a trainer and I don't know who they are, usually it rules a person out. So that's the situation. You need to have trainers that are credible and have done things. And I mean, you look up Cobra Jones, and it doesn't even say who's trained him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. And Benny the Backrower is trained by Suplex, and I mean, I don't know much about their program, but I haven't heard amazing things.
Well, look, in New South Wales, there's so many feds, okay?
Yep.
In Sydney alone, there's probably 10. And
Yeah, something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that, okay? PWA run the top market, right? Because of their production and their talent. And the guys in that school and who they are have been there for years. I reckon there's names in there that I was wrestling back in 2005 and 2007 that are now at the top and doing things. And there's names coming through. And as crazy as those guys are and the style they wrestle, you're never going to see anything executed that looks so unsafe.
Unless it's a freak accident like we spoke about
Exactly.
before. Yeah.
And there's too many feds getting around Sydney that they don't know they're bad, or the people they don't know that are on it don't know they're bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just speaking honestly. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not the best wrestler out there. But it's professional wrestling. So why would I portray the things that I'm bad at? I don't understand how these people can't be told, and this is where I'm coming from. If someone is bad, I will be honest and say, I think you're unsafe and you need work. So let's work on it. Because we're going back to what we want. We want eyes on the New South Wales product, right? And people want to work in wrestling in Australia and make it a thing. And the PWA started that movement of, you're going to know us or whatever it was. You're going to recognize us, I think it was.
That, yeah.
Something like that.
The plan was to build Australia into a platform where we can start, people can come overseas and wrestle here because they want to come and wrestle Australia's best. And have a look at the success. You made a good comment earlier, or it might have been you. We're in Australia's, there were people that argue that right now Australia wrestling is the best it's ever been in Australia. Is it?
Yeah, apart from the 60s and 70s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the best it's ever been. Back then, and even back in the early 90s, when people were drawing 300 to 400, 500 a show,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be the best time?
Yeah.
We just didn't have as many stars.
Yeah.
Now, you look at the international circuit overseas, even here at home, there's so many Australian guys breaking through and making waves. Why won't they come home? Is it money? Do they know I'm just not going to get the exposure here? Is there not enough good feds over here to work?
I think it's a mix of all
It's
three.
everything.
Yeah.
So we need to break the mold. We need to, and the hard thing is people are entitled to wrestle. People are entitled to have their own companies and do what they want. But it's hurting the product. I'm sorry, it is.
Well, yeah, that was just what I was about to ask you. Like there's so much of this, I guess product that isn't up to standard. But what is the effect that has on Australian wrestling? Like what effect does that have on our reputation?
Well, you will. The effect is we will never move forward, and we will never become bigger than what we are, and we won't grow. We'll settle for I'm getting, and this isn't us because I know it's not. I'm not speaking on their behalf. I'm just speaking in general. I'm happy with my 40 or 50 people.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to grow and expand? There's not one promoter out there that could tell me that if someone came to them and said, hey, I've got 1,000 people that want to come to the show, they're going to say no to it. And they shouldn't. So the issue is, I guess, we won't grow, we won't expand, and the companies that don't get recognition enough or don't get a look in, it's always the same people getting the looks in and getting the opportunities. they're the ones that should be. If you look at their stuff online, it looks reputable and good. But let's say you've got a fella from overseas in Europe or America or something, really good name going, what might come to Australia? What do they got? And they type in Australian wrestling highlights. They're either going to get some package from the 90s or the 80s that was good, or they're going to get some fed that just puts everything online, no matter how bad it looks, and they're going to see that as their first, and that's going to be the impression it leaves on it. Oh, I don't want to come to Australia.
Well, I do wonder what the question would be, because I do wonder what the result would be, because maybe they search that and maybe the shit does come, but also maybe, maybe it's an all-star or a reputable promotion that is actually the highlight there. Like, I'd be interested in what that is, because most of the shittier promotions, I don't think they're really posting too much online, from what I've seen at least.
I see it everywhere. I see it on Facebook stories. I see it on Instagram. I see posters online.
I see a lot of it on Facebook, to be honest.
I see it everywhere. And sometimes just to look up clips from our shows.
Yeah, you'll get something in the related videos.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Or have to look your full name up. Whereas if I start Australian wrestling, there's all this other stuff on. And some of the bad is being highlighted more so than the good, is what I'm saying.
I think we should say, though, if you do YouTube search it, there's going to be good and bad that comes
Of
up.
course.
It's not all just going to be bad.
No, of course.
There'll just be someone out there going, oh, they're saying all of Aussie wrestling is shit. But
No,
we're not saying that at all.
Not at all. I'm just saying there's a large percentage that is
If you went onto YouTube and did a deep dive of Aussie wrestling for a few hours, you're going to find good and bad. That's what we're saying.
No, 100%. And I mean, that's the same with everything. Anything you look up on YouTube or Google, there's going to be good and bad, right? Just quickly, I just read a comment from Millennial Man. He said, "I disagree. People aren't entitled to have their own feds. They need to make product that is up to standard and make it well done. Fortunately, Benny is still alive, but if he died, that would be it for feds in Australia. No clubs would accept booking."
Okay, so that's a great comment, but it shouldn't come to that. And now on the back of that comment, sorry to interrupt and go into it, but while I think of it, this is another thing, right? Again, I'm not having a shot at Benny, but me personally, I don't know. He has never really stood out as the guy of the Fed, right? And a star.
He's a newer guy.
Right? When you look at his career, it was new. It was still on the up. What would you say some of his accomplishments are at this stage?
Can't say I know too much about him, to be honest.
Okay, so is that in itself a critical thing too, that we don't know enough about him? Or is it that tells us where he's at in his career? He's only new, so you shouldn't know much about him.
Yeah, it's a good point.
The second he got hurt, he made Wrestler of the Week on a webpage.
Yeah.
Why? If he is doing good things, and this isn't a shot at him, you can use me as an example. I've never made Wrestler of the Week, but I would argue I've had some pretty big moments in my career, but I've never made Wrestler of the Week, and that's fine. That is fine. But it took someone getting hurt in that magnitude to make Wrestler of the Week for that page. Yet, what career has he had to make that? There are names on our brand. There are names on other brands that don't get that accolade. That's what upsets me. The guys get the accolades. Do I say that don't deserve it? Or do I say need to earn it more?
Well, I guess, it's not that they don't deserve it, but there's probably guys that deserve it more or have earned it, right?
That's right. Like, there's wrestlers on the All-Star roster, and you can call me biased, you can say what you want, but there's a reason why I picked this brand. Jack Dullahan is one. He's worked his ass off so hard to get where he is and be what he is. That guy deserves Wrestler of the Week alone for his work he's done as Eastern States champion and the program he had with Aries. There's another name.
Yep.
Look how far Aries has come.
Yep.
Look at Keegan Bradley, one of New South Wales' best. In my opinion, executes well, looks amazing, passionate. Why doesn't he get the recognition? Mike Valuable, in my opinion, one of the people responsible for pioneering Aussie wrestling back in that phase with guys like Ryan Eagles, Robbie Eagles, Bonza, all those names that were around then that are still around. Where's his recognition? Tony Cruz on the up. One of the most underrated talents.
Wes Williams. Also
Wes
heavyweight
Williams,
champ.
Luke Watts, Dan Archer. These guys are all names that should be floated around. Yet, I'm sorry, and it's not a shot at Benny. He's probably a top bloke. I don't know him personally.
He's probably a really good guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
But from a wrestling point of view, if we're promoting New South Wales best are not getting the recognition they need. It's other people.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, to be honest, in the New South Wales scene, I'd struggle to put together 10 reputable promotions, but there's like 20 out there.
Yeah.
You know, so I won't name names
No,
of who's
no,
reputable
and
and
even
who's
also,
not. But
what does that do for Aussie wrestling? Like, you look at someone, like we talked about before, you look at someone who has never seen an Aussie wrestling show before, and, you know, they go on YouTube or even they just have a look around. Like, you know, there's more chance that some of the bad is going to come up quicker than the good.
It is.
And it turns people away from Aussie
That's
wrestling.
right. Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. And the brands that have good names, this is all associated with what sort of player are you? You look at the brands that stand out versus, I like wrestling, I'm going to start a wrestling fan. The name of the brand. Like, who would think, like this here, right? That's a good name. Australian Wrestling Entertainment, good name, because it's simple and it's easy and it gets to the point.
Yeah.
When people start putting brand names and stuff with wrestling, how do you find that brand name? I wouldn't know to search some of the names in Sydney wrestling by name because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But it'll come up. It'll come up on related searches or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm speaking from experience because I see it so much when I scroll.
I guess speaking about AWE, because you worked there a little bit after because you had a pretty long break from wrestling.
Yep.
And that was one of the first places you came back to. How was your time there?
So it was short-lived.
Yeah.
I'm an open book. So my time at AWE, at the time, I felt we had a pretty decent roster we were trying to build. But I was a victim of my own arrogance. I'm happy to speak openly about what I did. I was wrestling there I debuted back there against Luke Watts when he was Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac. And it was a great match. I had so much fun. I've known Luke for a while now. We used to work back in the days of UWA and stuff like that. I've known him for a very long time. That was fine. Then I kind of got a little bit into my own hype, and I changed to finish in one of my matches without the promoters, without one of the promoters' approvals, and it saw me on the way out pretty quick. So that was my fault. That was my arrogance. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I've learned so much since then. So look, it could have been a lot better. So unfortunately, it wasn't the best time. But I was a victim of my own circumstance.
That's fair enough, I guess. Also, guys, if you have any questions, I know you've been commenting away in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, let's have a scroll and see what.
Go to the chat. The good people are listening, and
we're interactive. That's why we're live. We are
Yeah.
100% live.
Millennial Man says, I watched the NCPW show last night. Apart from the injury, it is one of the worst shows I've ever seen. Absolutely doesn't belong on the scene. They need to be better.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but
DMWC Films, I think that's Shay, our cameraman, says there's a reason why it's on the ban list in WWE, referring to the
Vertebraker, yeah. I haven't seen it in a major promotion in years.
Millennial Man also says Cobra Jones has been active since 2008 and hasn't improved one bit.
Can I just stop you there? What is that? A double underhook back-to-back sit-out pole driver. Is that even a thing?
That's what the Vertebraker is, I guess. I guess that's what describing the Vertebraker is.
I actually thought they were saying that's a different move. And
No,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Double underhook back.
What happened to a good old arm drag or a headlock takedown?
You got to be extreme.
Millennial Man says Birdman isn't trying to do Vertebraker.
Great point.
Sticks to what he's.
You know what? Birdman's been wrestling the same way he's ever has, and he still gets his response.
Yeah. Keegan Brettle says lots of good points here, JS. Shout out to Keegan Brettle, who will be back this Saturday.
This Saturday,
This
it's a
Saturday.
super show box. We'll talk
It
about
will
it
be.
later. Talk
Yeah.
about it more.
Simon Carey says he wrestled the pit staff no ring death match. I assume he's referring to
Benny the Backrower.
Benny the Backrower. Yeah.
Well, the comment above says also Benny was great whenever I went and watched him in ICW.
Yeah, right. A question from Status Tomb, I guess, for you, Mitch. Did Salem ever work for All Star?
That's a good question.
No, he didn't, but I did want him to come in the early days, 2018, 2019. He was keen. We just couldn't tee it up, unfortunately. I think at that time he was going through some injuries. Then he came back. He worked a few more shows and then retired. So, unfortunately, never got him in at All-Star. But I do have those great memories from, I guess, 2008, 2009 at UWA when he was a champion.
Dave Bullock says, Jack has been amazing. All these guys you mentioned are amazing. It's why we love All-Star.
Appreciate it.
I think, yeah, well, that's a testament to why, like, All-Star is so good, right? Because your roster's full of, no pun intended, All-Stars, right? Like,
not necessarily. There's guys that we've taken and we've molded.
Well, yeah, of course.
We have the talent around these people to make them better, though. You go to some other promotions, the most experienced wrestler in the promotion might be someone that's never done anything.
Well,
That's how it is for a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like, you look at guys like Aries and Jack and Hell Yeah, and it's, you know, like, you won't see guys of that caliber in other feds, I guess.
No, you won't.
Simon Carey says, I mean, even AWE had E10 versus Luke Watts was an amazing
Who's
match.
E10?
I have no clue.
It sounds like a petrol.
Yeah, that is. I don't know who E10
E10.
is.
Did he wrestle the petrol canister?
Maybe.
Did he said the match was amazing?
He said it was an amazing match, yeah.
It was amazing. Well, with Luke Watson there, it makes sense.
Yeah, well...
I don't know E10, but...
Yeah, well, Luke Watts and Tony Cruz had match of the night at Bash at the Bay, so that...
Tony Cruz's resume is full of match of the night.
Yeah.
True.
DMWC Film says, best company I filmed for. I'm assuming you're referring to All-Star?
I would hope so.
Amy Bowman says, if the ones I've seen, or of the ones I've seen, you guys are the ones I continue to return to. Your shows are awesome. Your wrestlers are great. Bunch of crazies.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that.
That is, by the way, Aimee from Amy's Crystal Cleaning Services, one of our 3 major sponsors.
Are you sure? All right.
Sure, okay.
Johnny Starr, you are given the book to train these guys. What do you do?
That's a good question.
From Millennium.
That is a great question. Let me give it. I think what I see with these sort of guys is they just need to be. It's so cliche to say slowed down, but they just need to be slowed down and start from scratch. I don't see anything that shows me psychology. It doesn't show me character-specific stuff. Like one of the things we pointed out about the Benny thing, I'll say his name, we all know it's Cobra Jones.
Yeah.
Why is he doing a vertebrae cut, if that's what it was? He's wearing a mask. He's wearing a wrestling suit. What are you? I don't understand what character you are and why are you doing a vertebrae cut? That's the last move, someone like that. I think these guys need to understand that there's less is more, and doing what's good for your character and what you're portraying is perfect. That's what it's about. I'm a technical guy. I'm not going to go out there and start doing top rope Hurricane Ranas and power bombs like Kevin Nash did, even though I love the move. That's a bit marky, but I love that move. But I'm not going to do it just because I like it. I think where I'd start, sorry, I don't know if I'm answering your question directly, Millennial Man. It's a very hard question to answer because there's so many different variants. But I think I'd sit down and talk to them. For starters, I tell them why I think either they're poorly trained or not trained, because I can't see consistency. I can't see an understanding of basics. There's so many guys out there that I see the same gimmick over and over again. The tough guy gimmick, the tough guy gothic gimmick, the high flying, I want to do all the indie stuff. No, just basics. Let's get back to basics and evolve from there, because I know that's not everyone's style of wrestling. I know wrestling has evolved and I accept that now. There's strong style, there's technical, there's high flying, there's shoot. there's traditional. There's so much out there for everyone, and everyone can do what they want. But do your product that you do it well and have an understanding. And I think I teach these guys an understanding of why I think they're bad, if that makes sense, and that's a good answer. That's where I'd start. They need to be told why they're bad, and who's telling them that they're good, or do they just believe it because people show up to their shows and watch it?
Friends and family, yeah.
And you can't tell me if you go, and I'm not even going to use brands here, I'm just going to use comparisons. Let's say you're a fan that's never gone to a wrestling show.
Yep.
Right? And you go to a wrestling show and it's full of good wrestlers, it's full of good enough production, and everything's clicking, right? Stories are easy to follow, characters make sense, moves are good, safe, a few flashy ones. You walk away and you go, I just paid $25, whatever it is, for that, for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. I'm coming back.
You want people saying,
Right.
I can't wait until the next show.
That's
When
right.
is it?
Next Fed rolls into town that the wrestlers don't even look like wrestlers. However they've done their gear, it just doesn't look right. So just throw some stuff together because I like wrestling, but I can't afford to buy an outfit. Well, then you shouldn't be in the business. Sorry. Invest in yourself, invest in the product. Crowds are down. There's no understanding of what's going on. Some moves you see in there, they can barely execute the bumps or the moves safely. Who's coming back to that? I know I wouldn't.
Friends
If
and
I've just gone
family.
to the other one, friends and family.
That's it, yeah.
That's right. So either the friends and family are too scared to tell them, oh, this isn't that good because they don't want to hurt their feelings. But if you're putting your product out there, these are opinions people are entitled to have. How do you think some of the world's biggest stars get picked on daily, or they put something on Twitter, or they put something on Facebook, and people, the internet trolls, rush them and have a go at them? How do they respond? Some people, they respond back and bite back. Some people go, whatever. Even those guys know they're open to criticism. Every single thing they do, everyone is open to criticism. In professional wrestling, you're open to criticism the second you put your brand out there to be watched. And you're kidding yourself if you think you're a new brand or still building that every single person is going to love it. There are going to be people out there that don't like what you do. There's people out there that probably don't like what I do and probably think I'm poor. That's fine. They're entitled to that opinion. And that's why I'm entitled to mine. And I'm only coming from a good place because I want to see New South Wales to a point where we're on the news or we're on the Facebook for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Constantly. And it starts with proper training and not taking bookings just for the sake of bookings. People will often say, I want to wrestle because I want the experience. Not every experience is a good one. So you're doing more harm than good.
Yeah.
Look at what you're doing and why and how it benefits the scene. That's how I feel.
I would argue that there's people out there that are killing their value because they work so many, there's no nice way to say it, but lower tier promotions.
That's right.
There's guys that I see, I go, no, I don't want to book them. They've got, a certain promotion stench on them. And I feel like that about a lot of guys.
And you know what? And I'll put our brand into this banner right now. That you've said this, the lower tier, right?
Yep.
Where did we come from? Humble beginnings. Look at
very
how
humble,
much All-Star has grown. And, from where we were 5 years ago to now is so different. And we've had to make changes and we've had to address hard issues and address that maybe this isn't working and that's not working and we're getting negative reaction and we're not drawing here and we're not doing that. But look now, we're consistent. And our roster's one of the best in New South Wales. And they're all good guys. They train hard. They take their craft seriously. They look the part. It's professional wrestling.
I think I just wanted to touch on quickly because you touched on earlier, right? The guys that are sitting there doing these moves, the vertebraker and all these moves that they see all the the huge companies do it, like the AEWs or whatever, right? Like Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, right? The finish, I think it was the finish of their match was the Tiger Driver where Will Ospreay like spiked Kenny Omega on his head, and they received a lot of backlash for it. They received a lot of like, holy shit, that was awesome. But they also received a lot of backlash, oh, that's unsafe, why it's unnecessary, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, those guys have been doing it at an elite level for 10 years plus, right? Kenny Omega's been wrestling for, I'd say, close to 20 years, right? Osprey's been doing it for 15 at least. So those guys have, like, it's still risky for them, but doing it in front of 40 people when you're probably not the best wrestler in the world isn't a good idea.
That's right. And you know what? There's you said something that really just resonated with me then. Now, because I'm old, I just forgot what the comment was. The Kenny Omega thing and the move, right? In a completely different context, right? These are people's heroes that they look up to.
Yeah.
I had my heroes looking up to wrestlers growing up, and I ripped them off when I was first starting. I did my Rockers outfit because of the Rockers, and I did a super kick because I love Shawn Michaels. I did a sharpshooter because I like Bret Hart. But what about the kids out there watching that are young and they see that and they're at the back on the trampolines with their mates and they go, "Oh, you want to do that thing Kenny Omega and thing over here?" And they drop their mate on his head on the concrete or on something. And that change. Like I know it's wrestling, but these guys are role models now. They're much like footy players. Look how much the game of NRL has changed because of concussions and shoulder charges and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right? Because it has an impact on every single person that watches. Right? And you can't blame a professional wrestler. It's like the old theory of someone. Again, this is controversial, even though I just said I'm not controversial at the start. But you give someone a gun and they go and shoot up a shopping mall. Was it the gun or the person behind it?
I think most people would say it's the person.
No.
That's right. Some people would say it's the gun. No, it's the person behind it. So these wrestlers are entitled to do their moves. They're another level. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, guys like that, they've been trained for years. It's their job. It's their body is in such a good condition. And it's camera angles. I don't know if you've watched TV.
They do cover a lot of stuff with camera angles.
Yeah, like there's one of the big things I can think of here is the Roman Reigns Superman punch, right? If you go and watch Roman Reigns' replay Superman punch, he will jump in the air and they slow-mo it. And it's like really slow-mo. And then the second he throws the punch, they speed the clip back up.
Yeah, they do that with heaps.
It's because he's not even touching them. And if you're good enough to see it, his hand's open.
Mm.
But they're not going to show you that on TV. They wrestle for TV. So it's all about camera angles. So what we see is not always what is happening. That bump with Kenny and Will is very hard to argue that that's how it didn't happen. But I'm guaranteeing you now, they would have spoke about the risk. How do we even know some of the spots doesn't have extra padding on there or isn't set up better?
Yeah, you never know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So, and that's the art of professional wrestling. We're suspending the belief.
I mean, just like one last thing on that as well. Like, I guess when you've been wrestling for so long, and you know what your body's capable of.
Correct.
You know what you're able to, like, you know what moves you're able to give, and you know what moves you're able to take. And I guess in this situation, they didn't know what they're capable. They didn't know what they were or were not capable of, or they didn't care. But let's see, we've got a few more questions.
Let's go back to the questions.
Status Tomb says, Johnny's thoughts on how long you should be trained before having your first match.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a very good one. So I think as a minimum, things have changed. When I first came into the business, I think I did 2 years of training before I had a match. Maybe even a little bit less because I had that car park match in Menai for Vulcan's Fed at the time. It's changed now because I think the level of training you get is so much higher. As a minimum, I think you need at least 6 to 8 months before you're considered to be put into a ring. But then again, what match are you talking about? So there's guys that are trained to be put in the ring just to take a couple of bumps, take a squash, or whatever it is. You could be ready at that stage you could be bumping really well by, say, 3 or 4 months in. And you get in, and this is often how it happens. We need a guy to take a rumble choke slam or whatever. You throw him in for the rumble, that's the first thing he does. He takes a choke slam and gets thrown down, right? If you're going to have a full 8 to 10 minute match, I'd like to see at least 6 to 8 months of consistent training. And some people out there are probably disagreeing, but you know what I mean? It's.
I mean, in the midst of things, 6 months in an entire wrestling career isn't even that long.
No.
Like, it's not a crazy amount of time.
There are guys out there having wrestling matches 2 to 3 months. No way.
That's common now.
No way. There's probably less that have had weeks of training.
Well, let's put it this way. We're what, three months into this course, and I don't feel like I'm ready to have an 8 to 10 minute match, right? Like,
but at 6 months, you might not be ready either.
Yeah.
No.
But if you look at, and this comes down to the trainer as well, right? The trainers are keeping you at bay. They're watching whether you're ready or not. And if by 6 months you're not ready and there's an opportunity, you're not going to get it. All right. But if you're ready, some people learn at different places. I wouldn't say 6 months to go into a main event or like some sort of big card match that goes for 20 minutes. But 6 to 8 months if you're going to open the show in a quick 5 to 7 minute banger for, to get your face over, a local face champion over or something like that, mid-carder, give the guy a chance to bump a few. And that's how it was done back in the day. These guys will probably, if you go and look at the jobbers of the feds, God knows if they even had months of training. As long as they could take a back bump and a couple of little things, they were thrown into the ring for 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Because their opponents were probably Terry Bole and Sting and guys like that were, the idea of the match was to get them over.
Yeah.
So I think personally, once upon a time, I'd say a year or more. But I think 6 to 8 months is fine to get in the ring for a basic sort of match.
So to comment, we mentioned that some people are being thrown in 2 to 3 months in. That this situation with Benny the Backrower, it actually occurred last year as well with another promotion in Sydney where they threw someone in that wasn't ready, and it actually resulted in someone having a neck injury and getting stretched out as well. It got swept under the rug, I guess, because nobody talks about it anymore. But that's another very real situation where this has happened before.
Yeah.
And this might have been worse than the Benny the Backrower situation. Who knows? I don't know what happened to the other fella, but like it's really it's bad. It's bad.
Similar questions from Millennial Man and Aussie Wrestling.
Yep.
As All-Star owner, would you advise wrestlers to not? Oh, hold on, this is a completely different question. As All-Star owner, would you advise not ban wrestlers to not go to any feds?
Say that again.
Would you advise any wrestlers to not go to certain feds?
I think he's saying, would you advise them to, but not ban them? So you'd say, this is my advice, don't go there. I'm not banning you from doing it, but don't go there.
I can tell you that, yes, I would say that. And there was a young wrestler that come up to me maybe a month ago. He's someone I got rapport with, and he said to me, hey, can I get on All-Star? And I said, yeah, but you're going to have to come to the school, train under Keegan and Johnny Starr. And he's like, yeah, but I'm getting booked everywhere. I'm like, yeah, but you're getting booked in the worst promotions in town. How am I going to think of any value? How can I see any value in you if nobody else is seeing that value, or you're not even putting that value in yourself? So yeah, there'd be promotions that I'd advise people not to work. I don't really have a strong ban thing though. Like if one of the All-Star guys wanted to go and work for the promotion where Benny the Backrower just did his neck, that's their choice. I'd just say, I don't think it's the best idea, but at the end of the day, they can do what they want.
Aussie Wrestling says, Mitch, would you / have you banned any maneuvers from being performed on your shows?
Not officially, no. But I think our guys are smart enough to know that it's not a free-for-all, and they're not going to be trying to pull out the craziest moves known to man. I think it's not WWE. I just assume that our guys have common sense.
Yeah. Millennial Man says, I counted the crowd in the video. 89 people in the crowd. C5 neck break for 85 friends and family in the crowd.
Yeah, it's not good. And it's not
even good for 500 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it wouldn't be good for 5,000 people.
That's right. It's never a good situation, and it could have been avoided.
Yeah, 100%.
Status Tomb says, who does the training? There aren't many experienced wrestlers / trainers. I guess that means
here.
Overall, I think overall in New South Wales.
Well, we got over in Campbelltown at the PWA school. I don't know all of their trainers, but I believe Ricky South does training, Robbie Eagles does training, and they're reputable trainers. Over here at All Star, we're more centrally based in Sydney. And we've got, Keegan, who is a Lance Storm graduate that's been wrestling for close to 10 years. And we've got Johnny Starr, who, how many years you been wrestling, Johnny Starr?
So I started when I'm 16. I'm 40 now.
Yeah,
and I
so
train
there you
under a
go.
Malenko system. So my coach, whilst he wasn't well known in the Australian industry because he had so much other things going on, his cred and backup is he's a Malenko certified student. That name, Malenko, it means everything. It's Joe Malenko, it's Dean Malenko. That's a reputable name, and he trained me. And I've never changed my style, and I take pride in my chain wrestling and my basic style of wrestling that I enjoy. But that's where my background is.
So, I mean, those are our trainers, and then occasionally we bring in a guest trainer. Like on Sunday, we had B-Boy here, who's, another 10-plus year veteran. But we're not a promotion that's going to allow, a shit wrestler to come in and potentially hurt our students, because we have a duty of care for the students. And the last thing we want is someone to be carted out of here on a backboard because we let someone in who doesn't know what they're doing.
If you look at the goal of we want, like I said earlier, New South Wales to be, but yeah, we often have conversations with how could we do this as our full-time job, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not acceptable to still be injured, but it makes it hell of a lot easier when you're injured doing what you get paid to do for life, because
That's a great point.
It doesn't affect everything else. Whereas if you have a job outside of this, even though we treat it like a job and we want it to be a profession, and I get hurt doing this, I can't do my other job I do, my day-to-day real life human job, and look after my family.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. These guys that are pros, like let's use the Aussies, for example. Let's use Robbie. I've listened to heaps of his podcasts. I've got so much respect for what he's done because he's done it his way. And one of the comments he made in his podcast was when he, the biggest life moment when it all hit him was when he could buy, he said he bought his house or whatever it was. And it was like basically, I don't know word for word, I don't put words in my mouth and say something wrong, but it alluded to the fact that it was basically almost mortgage free or something. Like he realized this is more than just my career. It's my everything now. Everything is his family, his extended. They're all banking on him being healthy. His career, he needs to be healthy.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
And he needs to take good risks when it counts. But he's also a guy that's been wrestling now for nearly 30 years or whatever it is, 20 years, whatever. And he's at the top of his game.
Yeah.
And his body is in mid condition. He can train every day and put every single thing he has into this because it's his life.
Yeah.
And his wife is relying on that. And everyone is relying on that. And I say that in the most respectful way I can. I've never.
He's made it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he did it his way. Like he went and wrestled. He wrestles his style and what he loves doing, and he's making it work. He didn't have to go to WWE. He didn't have to go to the big leagues, and he's still in the big leagues of Japan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know if a Robbie Eagles would work in WWE.
I think he's just happy with what he's got. I don't know him very well, but
I interviewed him on a podcast, and I was fairly sure that he's happy where he's at. I don't think he really even want to be in that.
But look at his style of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So many people go, God, it's so risky. But if you watch him, I don't know how many. Like he said he's had countless of injuries, but you'd never know. I think he wrestled one of his big tournaments with like a torn ACL or something. But everything he executes is bang on. Every single time he does it. So he doesn't do a stupid move just for the sake of it. He weighs up whether he can do it and it looks good and looks the part and how risky it is.
David Bullock says, this is such an amazing chat. Johnny Starr, you're making so much sense and so well phrased.
Thank you.
very eloquent, Johnny
I'm
Starr.
passionate about it.
Philip Armistead says, I'd be scared to train or work for promotion if I was told to take a move without proper training or consent. Just a thought regarding dangerous moves like the vertebrae cup.
Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't be?
And Izzy Majorana says it's okay to say no to moves, regardless of the heat. Safety is priority.
100%.
Yeah,
Great
I
comment.
agree with that.
Great comment. That's what it should be about.
Simon Carey says it was a tribute spot to Masawa 91 Tiger Driver. That was lethal. And then he says, I think some promotions lucky like PWA who can have an academy shows where the trainees can wrestle at their own pace, and it takes them a long time to get onto the black label shows.
Correct.
That's a great thing as well. Student shows to get students experience in front of people before even making it to a main show. If you can do that, then that's great.
That's right.
A lot of promotions don't have that though, and they're relying on the next rookie to come through that can bring 15 of their friends to the show so that they can draw a house for the next month.
And it's so common. That's what they say. One of the first things they'll say when they walk through the door is, how many people can you bring me?
Yeah.
Or how many of your friends can come?
I've heard that more than a few times. Like, such and such got on because they brought 60 people to the show.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd rather wait on the 60 people to turn up and have a proper qualified wrestler.
That's beautiful.
As opposed to someone who's half trained and can bring me 60 people.
He'll bring me 80 people, but he hasn't trained a day in his life.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure it's out there. You know what? I just thought something so odd about, student shows and putting guys on. And PWA's system is so intricate, and they will make sure you are ready to go out, and we will too. Yeah, we're never going to put anyone out there that's not ready.
There's a couple other wrestling schools that are like that as well.
But the way I look at it too is, definitely, there definitely is. There is a system. If you look at martial arts, I did martial arts my whole life. When I was a white belt, I was a yellow belt. I was going up the ranks. I still did tournaments. I didn't wait till I was a black belt to do a tournament. I did tournaments at white belt. I did tournaments at yellow. Why did I do that? To see where I'm at. See if I'm learning. And that's how you test yourself in combat. But every single level is different level experience, right? You can't compare the experience of a black belt to a white belt. It's massively different. But that doesn't mean that white belt doesn't get an opportunity.
No.
So you need to know a certain amount. In my opinion, I can teach you that amount in 6 months. Whether you're ready or not to be on a show is different.
Yeah. 100%.
But you're still going to get your opportunity whether you're 6 months in or 2 years in. It just happened to be when I trained 2 years before, I think I worked in front of like a crowd in a building for a company. And it wasn't even through not wanting to. I think I was so enjoying training so much and getting better and getting it down pat that when it was time, it's 2 years, is it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I was just enjoying my training so much. And being in the ring, we were there like 4 times a week, all night, just busting their ass.
2 years for four times a week that's a lot of training.
And it was all basics.
That'd be more than some wrestlers running around in New South Wales have ever done.
That's right. It would be.
And that's what you had to do to get through.
And I remember like speaking a little bit on throw a name drop. When I did the Chavo seminar, my partner in crime at the time, we were watching the guys get in the ring for Chavo just to show them where they're at. And the first thing that came to their mind was, I'm going to do cool moves to impress him. I'm like, your opportunity to wrestle in front of a Guerrero, and you're just choosing to be a spot monkey or a mark. Oh, I said the word. I got in and I tried to work a psychology with this guy I got in with. And we knew we hit it out of the park. I'm not even trying to be arrogant, but we looked at each other when we got out of the ring, and the response we got from Chavo, and we're like, that's how it's done. Like, we could have got in there and gone, let's do power bombs and runners and try and impress. It's not impressive. Show me psychology. Show me what you're doing to engage the audience. And that's one of the biggest things with wrestlers in New South Wales. The connection with the audience isn't there, or it's there for the wrong reasons. They think doing these big, crazy moves will get the connection. It'll get you a ooh or an ah, but it won't get you a long-term connection.
I guess furthermore on the school, Mr. Hardy Productions says, how do we sign up to the All-Star School? I guess that's a question for you.
So you got to wait till October until these guys are done. There's a training tab on www.allstarwrestlingaustralia.com.au. It gives you all the information. I would highly recommend us in Sydney or PWA, and that's probably it for Sydney. There's a good one in Newcastle, and there's one that I hear is a good one in Wollongong. I think that's about it.
I guess you can touch on how we run things here at the school and what you teach, if you wanted to get into that.
Yeah, of course. Look, I'll give a bit of an insight so people know. If you're not aware of it already, I'm massively passionate about basics, and less is more, and getting the little things right before we move on to big things. Because I believe I can teach matches where you could do, based on the traditional style of psychology and working a body part or whatever, you could do the 1 or 2 holds for 5 minutes and get the same response you get from a poppy flashing move. I'm a big believer in that. So I'm more of a theory-based teacher here. I'm big on teaching selling. I'm big on teaching footwork, in-ring movements, character connection, audience connection, the things that people don't think are as important that, in my opinion, mean more than the moves. Storytelling.
Just to cut you off there,
Yeah,
we felt it was vital to have a theory component to all this because not many promotions do.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so important to have that, and to have you doing that is great.
Thank you. And I'm loving it. And I can't wait to the next class. And these guys are doing great. Obviously, Keegan runs, who I said before, one of the best in New South Wales, if not the best. His execution is bang on every single time he's in the ring. He knows all the stuff I know, and he excels more in the ring than me. He's a bit younger. He's healthier. He's got the body to pull off these moves more than I do. So, and this is where it comes down to communication and the good side of professional wrestling. I'm not afraid to say where I don't excel. So let him take over that area. That's his part. And he's probably the same. He probably couldn't sit in here for a classroom and teach for an hour and a half. He probably wouldn't want to, and that's fine. They're our strengths, and that's why I think we're a great team here at All Star. Yeah. And our focus is there to get you match ready. And I've said it to you guys before. Let's create good habits rather than trying to fix bad ones.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Any other questions, Alex Box?
Millennial Man says 50 people, 10 seconds, never forget. Status Tomb says...
what are we talking about there? That could be...
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that one.
Status Tomb says, thoughts on where AWF are as a promotion and school almost 25 years on?
Well, do you want to touch on that first? Or what do you want me to
Yeah, I'll touch on it. I don't really know what AWF does anymore, to be honest. I don't think they have a school. I know that they're not running shows. I saw one announced recently, but I don't think they've had anyone come out of their school in a long time. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the last crew was like Aries, Hell Yeah, Wes. And that was a number of years ago. Yeah. So I don't know what AWF is doing too much. Johnny Starr, do you have any insight?
I think you took the words out of my mouth. I know I don't see them as much online anymore. I know I did see the advert for a show that they're doing soon. What I think of Greg as a trainer, I think he's a great trainer. I think if you go back to what he has given to the early stages of professional wrestling, you can't deny his involvement in Australian professional wrestling.
He has trained a lot of good wrestlers.
Yeah. And he's had a great career. Yep. He's done it for his job here. And he will openly tell you that on his passport or birth, whatever it is, birth certificate says professional wrestler, whatever it is, he's spoken about that. He's taken his craft serious from day one.
Yeah.
And yes, there's people that probably poke fun at the interviews and the characters he does, and they laugh at it, but longevity, there's not many other people that can say that's what they've done their whole life in New South Wales, and he has. I don't know, where he is personally. At the end of the day, it could be one of those things where maybe he's fed up of the 10, in the 12, 12 feds in New South Wales. It's too much. Maybe he's packed it in. I don't know, or he's going less, or he's focusing on other things. But yeah, I don't see them as active as they once were.
The reason I wouldn't recommend AWF as a school, if someone was asking me, they've got a good track record of training people, but that was a long time ago. I think they're in a position where they're kind of, as we mentioned before, they're trying to put the guys on who can, put a basic match together and bring 50, 60 people. I think that's the aim. I don't think the aim is to put a great wrestler out there or develop a great wrestler for him anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. But, looking at some of the talent that comes through there, it's hard to say that, there's genuine effort to make the trainees the best they can be.
Before we get into some more questions, it's just a comment from head coach Keegan Brettle, who says, we make a hell of a team, JS. Proud of the fellas progressing and looking forward to the next class. Big kudos to Mitch too. wouldn't be possible without him. I agree.
I appreciate it.
Just quickly, like from a student's perspective, obviously I haven't been to any other wrestling schools, but you know the theory classes with Johnny Starr, the weekends with Keegan Brettle, I don't, there wouldn't be anywhere else that I'd rather be. Like these guys are the best minds in wrestling, and you know they're some of the best in the state at what they do. So it's the perfect place to learn.
This has turned into an advert for the school. I'm not against it, but
Cheap plug.
Millennial Man says, do you recommend people prepare physically before joining the school? I mean, I guess for me as a student, yeah, like experiencing what we go through is physically demanding. So I certainly suggest that you prepare physically.
I definitely would. It's only going to serve to help you out quicker and more. Look, everyone is at different places in their life and what they can and can't do, preparing for anything. But I believe it's only a positive. So yes, I would recommend it. Whether it happens or not in a lot of places, I don't know.
Fitness should be a big thing for not only training but for wrestlers as well. Not a lot of wrestlers out there that are actually in shape these days either.
Right.
Millennial Man says TNT had a banger against Ricky South at AWS RSPCA show.
Yeah, look, as a performer,
He's great.
He's great. It's just, I think his training, from what he's turning out, it's lazily, pushed people. I should specify, like, I think too many people are rushed onto the shows and into key positions. I would struggle to think of many wrestlers on the AWF roster that would make it to a reputable promotion. It's nothing against anyone personally either.
No, that's it. It's just being honest, and you need to be honest in this business, or we're not going to move forward.
Millennial Man says TNT versus Johnny Starr at All Star. Padstow, of course.
Always Padstow. The iconic Padstow.
TNT ever sees this and he's interested, my inbox is open. I'd love to see that match.
Keegan Brettle says, bring in TNT. I'll wrestle him anytime. Do TNT versus E10. Wow, imagine that.
Who's E10, bro?
I don't know.
I think E10 is E10. Yeah, like
the petrol.
The guy that keeps talking about E10, he must be E10.
Is it a petrol gimmick?
No,
Keegan said that.
Oh, okay. I don't know who E10 is.
Yeah,
and then Millennial Man says dream match TNT versus E10.
Someone tell me who E10 is. Is it
98?
E10 is going to become a meme on this podcast.
It will be, yeah.
Is it? Nah.
I don't know.
I'm curious if
I feel bad now because it's probably someone I know, and they're like, "You absolute jerk."
All right, give us a sec, guys.
The comments are flying, boss.
Jeremy Cobb says, 3 months in and we've done basics only. No way would I want to be learning action moves yet. Maybe a few more weeks before we're at that stage at the leagues. Yeah. Millennial Man says, Alex Box, when are you hitting the weights? I'm on a chip.
Are you?
Hey, calm down.
Sorry.
Mr. Hardy Production says, should you eat good to look good?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
next question.
Yeah, next question. DFWC Film says, shout out to Deepak.
Yeah. Deepak is a regular mention on here, but nobody ever says anything good.
I think that's the third time.
Maybe Deepak is E10.
Maybe.
Oh.
Philip Armstead says, E10 versus Unleaded in a Hell in a Cell. Book it. Here we go. Keegan Brettle says, E10 is a Queenslander who moved to Canberra recently. He's a good fella. Someone mentioned him earlier. He's training with Slayer.
Oh, well, look, if he's training with Luke Watts,
there you go. He's training with a good promotion.
Then that's a good thing.
That's very good.
Yeah, you should get his brothers 98 and Unleaded in there to train with him.
Look at that banger of a question.
Status 2. Top 5 promotions in New South Wales besides All Star. You two want to go 5 each?
Oh.
I feel like we do 5.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get to 5.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, look. Let's start with the easy ones. You got PWA.
Is Slam counted because they're Canberra?
No, they're ACT. Can't count them.
New South Wales. Would you go Rock and Roll?
I haven't seen their shows enough to be able to give them the thumbs up. I do know.
Is this a combined one, or are we doing one each?
No, we'll do one each. So I know Luke runs a tight ship, and I know that he draws well, but I don't know enough to give a valid opinion. No, like Rock and Roll.
Oh, Rock and Roll. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So you got PWA. You'd have to put Nui Pro there.
Yep.
What else is there? I know AWE draws really well, but not a lot of their stuff is out there.
We need to cue some elevator music while we get this going.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. SpongeBob 10 minutes later.
A lot of people speak favorably of EWA, but I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there, although they've got a lot of great wrestlers.
Where are you at? How many is that now? 3 or 4?
I mentioned 3 good ones, but I can't comment on AWE's show content because I haven't seen their shows. I just know they draw well, which is a good look for Aussie wrestling.
Sorry, this guy spelled South wrong. Can you correct him, please?
Who said this? Aimee says Southsman. It's actually
Sorry.
it's
Souths?
SOUFFS.
Yeah.
Look, to be honest, I'm struggling to come up with more than 3.
All right.
Oh, don't pass the heat to me.
So look, if someone asks
He's
me,
gonna write it down.
reputable promotions,
Oh, that's bad.
PWA, Nui Pro, not mentioning All Star. Wrestling Go do a good family-friendly show,
Yeah.
so chuck them on there.
I've got it in the worst angle.
Rock
Yeah,
and
I was
Roll
gonna say
is a
it's
maybe
yeah.
because I don't
I've
know.
got R&R on the list.
I don't know. I haven't seen their shows, but I know Morgan Rose and Otis are on those shows, and they're great. And I know
They're
Hunter
good
Hayes has done a significant amount of training overseas, so they're probably good.
They're good. I put them on my
And
Son
apart
of
from
Michael
that,
More, mate.
apart from that,
You've got 4.
we'll chuck AWE on there as well.
Hey, chucks it in.
But I haven't. I haven't seen
With a
their
bullet.
shows, so I'm only going off the fact that they draw.
Okay.
They could draw 200 family and friends for all I know. I'm just assuming.
Okay. Well, what would yours be?
Technical
Coach?
difficulties, I'm not answering.
Nah, come on. You can't do that.
You got to answer 5 that
you-
I haven't chosen.
you-
Hang on, the question. That wasn't the question. The top 5 best.
Where is it? Top 5 promotions in New South Wales besides All
Yeah,
Star.
so that tells me like.
Um,
All right.
I could name you my top 5 worst.
No.
That's a
I'm not doing
hard list. If someone wants to see that, feel free
I think
to pop
our,
it in the questions.
I think our lists are very similar.
Just in a different order.
No, I'm not even.
Well, I didn't even do mine by order.
No, you didn't.
No.
No.
That would be a lot more research needed to be done.
Obviously, PWA is just a given.
PWA are a good brand. Nui Pro is a good brand.
See, I feel like I need to change something here.
Hold on, sorry, just quickly. That's a
Yeah,
good
go
one.
ahead.
A couple of people brought up IWA.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about them. They're good.
All right, well then, out of your 5, who do you sub them in for?
All right.
Uh,
No. I'm answering now.
Okay, all right.
So PWA, Nui Pro, Go, IWA, Rock and Roll.
Yeah, I think
So
I'd agree
it's
with
the
that one.
same, except you subbed out AWE for IWA. Would you?
And look, just to be different, I'll chuck Rock and Roll out for IWA.
However, I've got AWS breathing up the ranks purely because of Gibbs and what he's trying to do.
No, I don't think I'd agree with that one, Chief.
Coming up the ranks.
Wow, you just chiefed him. He's been chiefed.
Coming up the ranks? No.
Look, they're another promotion that
They've
there's,
got potential.
but there's nothing out there about them. So, like,
Yeah.
you read on a match result like Robbie Zuko, Tyson Gibbs, you're like, oh, it could be a great match. But there's the importance of good booking as well.
Yeah.
Do we
That's
know
the
how
hard thing.
Tyson is as a booker?
Because if you look at some of the talent they've got on there, there's some reputable guys.
Yeah, there
that
is,
go
yep.
on there. So that's the hard thing. But like you said, I feel like they've hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And they're going in a different direction. now.
Yeah, and they've got a talent roster that's quite different to anything else. There's positives there. I just can't comment because I haven't seen their shows.
Mr. Hardy Production says, "How is the Vanilla Coke box, man? It's absolutely fantastic." Philip Armistead says, "I'd give Wrestling Go a solid shout for being entertaining and family friendly."
They are probably the best family-friendly option out there. Maybe them and Rock and Roll,
Yeah.
because you're not going to go to a Wrestling Go show and hear anything offensive or whatever. It's not like our shows where we have a bunch of smut and people swearing and yelling and screaming at one another. They're very good with that type of thing.
Millennial Man says, when is the footy talk not happening, Chief? Sorry.
The people don't like the
People
footy
don't
talk.
like it.
That's
People
my
don't
pod.
Is that your pod, is it? The purely smooth out? Is that
Let's
sorry.
not plug that. It's not about that.
Nah, it's not. It's because it's not happening.
It is. It's already on the way.
We're
I've already
winning the
recorded.
podcast
I've already
war.
recorded 7 episodes.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Shout out to Fog. And you know what? Shout out to our other special guest while I'm at it.
Who's that?
My other special guest that appears from time to time on there. One of the OG refs of All Star. One of the greatest human beings
Have
on
you
the planet.
poached Nigel?
No,
He's
I
poached
said
Johnny
one of the
Patini.
OGs. No,
He's
I'm,
poached Johnny Patini.
I'm talking Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy the ref.
OG. He's an OG.
What a trio.
Great human being. Great, even better dad.
Worst
Amazing.
podcast
Shout out to
of
him. I
all
love you, bro.
Haven't talked to him in a long time.
time.
Get back to your question. Your viewers are
Let's see. Aussie Wrestling says AWS question mark. Yeah, look, we've covered that.
Yeah.
He says yes. He says
Oh,
no.
I don't say yes. I just say I feel like they've hit reset and they're coming up.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. BMWC Film says surely Birdman's up there. Lol.
I love Birdman.
Skip.
Yep. IWA. Kingdom.
Well, the main event of their next show is Delicious versus Ferguson. So I'll leave it
let's
there.
not go into that.
Amy Berman says, "Oh, yep, South's red and green should be seen."
Shouldn't- it says shouldn't.
Shouldn't be seen.
There's
That's
a little
right,
bit of
you're
footy
right.
talk in there. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, let's get that out of there. David Bullock says, "Go on, do the worst fight."
No.
I happily will.
Oh.
Just quickly though.
And on that note, I'm leaving. No.
Just quickly, Keegan Brettle says, "When's Jimmy the Ref coming back with his karaoke setup? Miss that fella."
What karaoke setup?
I don't know. Is that a? You can
These
elaborate. While you elaborate, Keegan, these guys are going to give their worst 5 promotions.
I'm not
in the
doing it.
playoffs. You are.
No.
You're a guest on this.
No,
podcast.
I'm not naming names unless I'm asked. And they haven't named. He said just go on, do it. He's not asked.
Go on, do the worst 5.
Do the worst 5 what? Songs of history. So probably he doesn't
your theme
specify.
song. No.
No, he doesn't specify what.
David Bullock, please specify your question.
Don't ask him that.
Hold on, I'm writing.
Status Tomb says best diamond in the rough bed.
There's not many, to be honest.
It's not many, unfortunately. Yeah.
You'd put that one first?
No, this isn't in order.
Oh, okay.
You guys better talk while I write this list.
Yeah, Philip Armistead has requested you name the worst 5 promotion.
All right, we're on it. We're on it.
Let me. Can
I've
you?
got 4.
I'm politely refusing to answer that question.
I'll take the
I
heat.
tell you
it's
why.
okay.
I tell you why. Because, in my opinion, I've given opinions before in the past. In my opinion, I've given opinions, right? And I've been a part of that, and it copped some backlash, and I wasn't happy with the backlash because it was just my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's what I'm going through now, but I know what will happen as a result of it, and it's not the person I want to be.
Yeah.
Although I've just sat here and preached that we need to speak openly about this stuff. I don't want to be called. I don't want my stuff being confused with. And now I'm not speaking on behalf of Mitch. You need to. I don't want me to be confused with a basher of people.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking openly, and I don't think Mitch is here to bash people anyway, because he's very much. He speaks openly as well, and he always has. Since I've known this man, he's always been honest.
Yeah, I always try to be.
And people, I think, misunderstand honesty with crudeness or disrespect.
Yeah.
Look, let's not make it 5 worst. Let's put a positive spin on it. 5 promotions that need the most work.
Okay.
I have the answers here when we're ready. by the
Yeah,
way.
just quickly. Phil Armistead and David Bullock says, seems like there's a turn coming for Johnny Starr. He's turning into a bit of a good guy. I can confirm he's still a dick.
He is, yeah.
We've caught him on a good day.
We have.
Get him on show day and he's
Look,
an
I
asshole.
still got to give him payback for stepping on my sunglasses twice. And then valuable as well. Don't get me started on that guy.
I don't think anyone remembers that Alan
I'm gonna
Fox.
really get paid. Anyway, all right. We're gonna go
All right.
the five most promotions that need some
The
work.
5 promotions that need work in no particular order, in my opinion.
In Mitch's humble opinion.
And look, a lot of these people would assume that I don't know anything about wrestling, so is it really a valid opinion? Anyway, both you guys are on your phones. Boys.
Hang on, I'm just
Sorry.
responding. I'm
All right.
getting heat.
Can I get a drum roll? right. So number one that I've written down, but it isn't
in order.
NCPW in Port Macquarie. Now,
For obvious reasons.
That's a good way to put it. It could be looked at like, yeah.
Needs work.
Needs work, yeah.
so from what I think it was the Millennial Man, he said it was the worst show he'd ever seen. I can't comment on that because I haven't seen their show yet. But yes.
Well, I mean, just like, I guess that says something in itself, right? If you haven't seen their show, they haven't really done anything that makes you go, oh,
Well, no,
I want to watch that show.
I've seen their shows before, and there's a lot of people that aren't trained properly. There's not a lot of people there that would ever make it onto All Star. It's kind of a place for not so great wrestlers to go. My second name written down, and again, it's not in order, has to be the Wrestle Strong Dojo. As Johnny Starr said before, there's a couple of good wrestlers there. Dean Draven is a good one, but I don't think they're good for our scene. It's definitely a family and friends promotion, and I've heard a lot of things over there that are not positive. And I don't think that they've produced many good wrestlers. Number 3, Suplex. Again, I've watched a couple of their shows just to see what they're doing, and I can't say I've enjoyed myself, to be honest. Maybe some people do. It's just my opinion. Number 4 would probably have to be AWF. They've dropped off so much since I was a kid. Used to love AWF. It used to be the highlight of my wrestling fandom. Every 3 months I go to AWF, but now it's just it's not even worth really seeking out.
You could say that AWF was in the position that we were. Like they were one of the top.
Well, no, they were. They were number 1.
They were, along with
AWF,
AWF,
definitely.
right?
Yeah, AWF.
No, it used to be AWF and IWA when I was a kid.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And then I've got 2 here. One's kind of a spot show fed. That's ICW Central West, and they use a lot of guys who just aren't
That great. Yeah,
I think they run a couple shows a year. Okay. And apart from them, if we're not counting them, I'd have to put Kingdom in there. The Kingdom do use a few good guys. Like I know they've got Hell Yeah on their next show. Yeah. I don't know who else because they just announced in the card. But yeah, when your main event is Delicious versus Ferguson, nothing against those guys. I met them both. They're great guys. Not shitting on them. But when that's your main event, there's not a lot of good there. They do have Morgan Rose there, though, and he's phenomenal. There's some other good guys there, too. But that's my list. It's an honest list. I hope I don't cop heat for it, Alex Box, or I'll blame you.
Mate, hey, when I first advertised this podcast, it was that you were a controversial figure, and I guess you can be sometimes, not regularly.
Oh, look, anyone that finds my opinion there controversial, I think they're just lying to themselves. And look, if any of those people, any of those people think that if they think that All Star is better than them, I will openly. It's an exclusive.
Yeah.
If you message me, I will help you, and I will tell you how to fix your promotion.
I mean,
for free.
And at the end of the day, this is all like opinionated, right? It's not. This is like factual. This is the promotion.
That's right. This is in the Bible. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just my opinion, but a lot of people they seem to get offended by my opinion.
Yeah, same with me. And just before you move on, because you're nearing your finish time, I just saw someone there.
We can run late.
Someone is in the comments saying that I've just turned face on this. I just want to address that. Don't tell me what I've done. All right, on a podcast. I'm in charge of me, not you.
Yeah.
All right. Have your opinion, much like I am, but you don't tell me when I'm turning face. All right. I'm still Johnny Starr, the purist, for a reason. That's all I wanted to say about that.
There we go. What else have we got, Box?
Phil says, love the wrestling family. This just made my night after training. We appreciate that. But this one's for you. Big Keegsy, Big Keegan Brattle, in all caps, says, talk about the ringside addiction. So do you want to talk about the ringside addiction?
Oh, we kind of have to. It's a
special request.
And look, it's we can't talk about Johnny Starr without talking about the ringside addiction.
I can start the story off if you'd like, because you come in early on.
Are we gonna how long we got?
Look, we
can go long.
We can go long.
I've got family you're gonna
Tell them you're on the podcast.
Yeah.
That'll go down real well.
All right.
I was on the podcast. We went long. Sorry.
That's what I'll tell my missus.
Yeah, you.
She's very
But
understanding.
you don't live too far.
No, I live pretty close by to All Star HQ. Yeah. Now, are we going to answer that question?
Well, apparently not.
Millennial Man says, "Do not mention anything private. We discussed
In
this.
Queensland. Cough!
Don't you dare."
What does it say?
It says someone else's name.
I think the Millennial Man. We figured out that's AV, right?
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's right. Andrew Venables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to know my honest? Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
no,
Let's
no,
go
no,
there.
no.
What's he gonna do? Get upset?
So, also give us
This,
what is the ringside addiction for those who don't know?
That's a good question.
okay, I don't know if I can answer that whether I know what the ringside addiction is, but
Nobody's
my
addicted to
honest,
the ringside.
my honest opinion is the person gave me an opportunity. They saw something in me.
Yep.
They took it on themselves to bring me to Queensland. They put me up in a hotel. They put me on a show, and they gave me an opportunity to do something I haven't done in this business and wear their belt with pride. That's all I'll say about it. And I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the Ringside Addiction is a championship that Johnny Starr held.
That's right. And now, if you look at the way it ran it, they flew someone in from Singapore, I think it was, the current champion at the time, for me to work. And I'm looking at it that out of all the people in New South Wales, they took a gamble on me. So I need to be thankful for that, and I am thankful for that because I got an opportunity, and that's what this business is about. And I took the opportunity, and I like to think I did it some sort of cred. That whether or not they believe it or not, that's up to them. That's how I look at that. It was an opportunity that I was given, and someone took a gamble on me, and they didn't have to.
Fair enough. What was your opinion on the Ringside Addiction? Because you popped huge when Keegan Brettle said that.
Mine's vastly different to his.
Sounds like you hated it.
I'm being honest though.
No, like it was a cool opportunity for Johnny Starr.
I haven't had many opportunities like that when it comes to championships and stuff like that, and going interstate. So I'm thankful.
I mean, in
I put it down to ticking boxes like that.
For Johnny Starr, it was a great opportunity, and he got to wrestle an international on his dime, not Johnny Starr's dime, on AV's dime. I don't know why we're dodging his name.
On Millennial Man's dime.
I guess that is Millennial Man is AV. I don't know. I think he alluded to that.
He teased it in a previous episode, and he's been a regular here. So shout out to AV.
Anyway,
I don't remember what we spoke about in Queensland. Anyway,
the story.
What I did last week.
The story about Ringside Addiction. They were a sponsor, I guess you want to call them, early on in All Star's lifetime, and I don't know. The guy was just a bit weird. He had a lot of big opinions. He'd get fired up over things. If you know anything about Queensland wrestling, you know who AV is and what he's all about. It wasn't a positive experience for us at all. Positive experience for Johnny Starr. You guys right? Having a convo?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. There's so much going on right now.
He just asked me a question, so I answered it for him.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I heard what you said, though. I'm a multi-talented man.
I'm not.
Do a couple of things.
I'm sorry.
No, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I buried the guy.
Yeah. No, the part at the end, I agree with. That you said
it was a cool
an
opportunity
for me.
Yeah. Matt C says, "Starr put me over. I bow down to the purists."
Matt C.
I don't know who Matt C is.
Huh.
He said Starr put him over, and he bows down to the purists.
Do you know who Matt C
He knows
is?
his role.
I don't. Matt C, who are you? Nah.
Matt C, give us your ring, Dad.
Let's see. David Bulldog says, used to love when AWF came every few months to Goulburn back in the day.
Oh, good times.
I don't even know about those
good
times.
Man. That's that's an underrated wrestling town that was good and had potential.
And then it got burned out.
Yeah.
Millennial Man says, I heard Johnny Starr wants to create a pure blood race of wrestlers.
I've never spoken to this guy before in my life, and he reckons he knows all about me.
Yeah, apparently.
He thinks he knows us.
Wow. That's interesting.
What a joker.
Look, we're coming up on an hour and a half now. So I think...
If there's any last questions for Johnny Starr, send them through.
Or for Mitch.
Or for me, I'll answer them.
Or for myself.
Now, Box, while we wait for the questions to come through, plug our amazing
I
sponsors.
will. I would love to give a special mention to Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance, as well as Aimee's Crystal Cleaning Services and Raptastic Graphics, all of which the main man Mitch here has used and highly recommends. I myself know the guys, and they are and girl. They are some great people, and they do some great work. So check them out. All the information for our sponsors are going to be in the description of this video and on our social media at the Mitch and Alex Show.
You should see my floor box, spotless.
Yeah, which is it's tough because that doesn't normally happen. But yeah.
All right, questions.
Questions. When is the next episode from Status Tomb? That will be
Saturday.
This Saturday, and I was just about to get into that. Thanks for the probe.
It's an exciting one.
So this Saturday, episode 6 of the Mitch and Alex Show will be our first ever, I guess you could say, super show.
It's a super show, Alex Box.
It's
Get excited.
So we are going to be doing a 2-hour special.
Perhaps longer.
Perhaps
We do run longer.
Most likely longer.
Well, it says an hour and a half.
Yeah, now it's an hour and a half. So the first hour of the Mitch and Alex Show will feature the return of our episode 1 star, everyone's favorite, Big Keegsy B, Keegan Brettle. Can we get a round of applause for Keegan Brettle?
You're the only one applauding.
Same character.
And now,
I'll
say hour 2 of this episode.
2 special guests for this one.
2 special guests for hour 2.
It's very exciting.
For hour 2 of episode 6 of the Mitch and Alex Show, the Super Show, will be, can I get a drum roll? The All-Star Wrestling Australia heavyweight champion, Wes Williams, will be on the show this Saturday. So get keen, guys. It'll be live at 3 p.m.
It's your barbecue, Box.
It's my look. It'll change a million times between then. But this Saturday, 2-hour special featuring Keegan Brettle and Wes Williams. So get excited.
No tea parties here, mate.
No tea parties here, mate. Izzy Mayorana says All-Star tag titles for Starr and Valuable. They are money.
They are money. Yes.
Any goals to pursue the tag titles with my baby?
It's the only thing driving me at the moment.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Millennial Man says, Johnny Starr, please bring back my belt. My mum's been bothering me for it for years.
Let's go buy another one from Kmart.
He must be AV.
Yeah, he must be. Mr. Hardy Production says, is All-Star going to Goulburn one day?
We were meant to, actually. And then one of the promotions I named on my promotions that need work list went there, and I guess they burned it up. Unfortunately.
Let's see. David Bullock says, sounds like an amazing 2 hours. I will say it's going to be a great 2 hours.
Look, it's going to be a banger, as the kids say.
A banger. Oh, look at you. Look at you using the lingo.
Hey, I'm young at heart, Alex Box.
Yeah, so this Saturday, Wes Williams, he's got a whole bunch of stories to tell, and obviously we can talk about his experience winning the All-Star Heavyweight Championship. It's an absolute classic match as well.
Will it be freezing cold on Saturday like it is now?
Look, I'm so freezing my bollocks off.
There's more questions coming through, though. We don't stop until the questions are done.
What move does Johnny Starr, the purist, absolutely hate? We'll end it on this one.
The vertebraker,
What
for
is
sure.
what is your least favorite move of all time? Look at your sweat patches. What is your?
No, I'm saying it's cold.
Yeah. What is your least favorite move of all time? Stop looking at your sweat patches.
Anything I don't do.
Wow.
No, that's a stupid.
What a hill.
I don't know. I don't. Do I answer that really? Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
Canadian Destroyer. No.
Titan Driver 91.
I don't know if it's the move as such. It's the situation. If you do a stupid move and then you get it kick out on a 1, or they do a bigger move like Canadian Destroyer, right? So I often poke fun at that move. It's not that I hate the move. I just hate that it's done so much and it doesn't get the reaction. So when people hit a Canadian Destroyer, the guy will kick out on a 1 and then he'll pin him with like a running, like flick to the face or like a running elbow.
Finger poke at Doom.
So I'll give you an example. Adam Cole uses the Panama Sunrise, which is a Canadian Destroyer, and then he hits them with the knee to the back of the head. What's the bigger move?
Yeah, the Canadian Destroyer.
That's right.
You're
And it doesn't get the
driving someone on the head.
So it's not that I hate moves. Like the move, the vertebraker, when done so properly, is beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It's a great move.
When done properly.
It's a finish. That's it. You don't kick out of that. The pole driver, all those moves. I don't hate moves. I just don't like that they're used incorrectly. Super kick is another move.
Yeah.
It's not a finish anymore. It's a setup.
Mitch, comment?
Whatever Johnny Starr says, I agree with. He's a very wise man.
Fair enough. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much to our special guest, Johnny Starr, for remaining respectful to us the entire time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule to chat to us and the amazing Mitch and Alex Show fans.
Also, thank you to our sponsors, of course.
I was getting there.
All right.
I was getting there. You know what? You plug the sponsors.
You have a
I did not
tendency.
know.
You have a tendency to jump around.
You haven't finished thanking me yet.
Plug the sponsors.
You thank
No
me.
can do, Chief.
No can do. Very, very huge thank you to our sponsors as always. Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance, Aimee's Crystal Cleaning Services, and Raptastic Graphics, all of which you can check out on our social media at the Mitch and Alex Show. They do a fantastic job at what they do.
Also, let's plug Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Our first ever Super Show, Alex Box.
Our first ever Super Show, 2-hour special of the Mitch and Alex Show, will be featuring Keegan Brettle, Wes Williams, and it's going to be an absolute banger.
Banger, as the kids say. So we'll see all of you guys then. This was a special edition of the Mitch and Alex Show. You're getting 2 shows. It's like when we go on tour with All Star.
I guess you could call it Christmas in July.
That's good, yes. Christmas in July. We'll see you guys
We'll
then.
see you guys Saturday. Have a great night. Peace.